welcome to all the attendees here. Welcome to the M365 Chicago event below Chicago. I'm here as a speaker for the topic Microsoft Teams Rollout, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I'm here together with my brother in crime, Michael. And I think we will start the session now. So first of all, we would like to pay the attention to the Children First Fund. It's an initiative or an organization supported by M365 Chicago. So if you have to donate something, just do it. Use the QR code and then spend some money if you have, and then the Children First Fund will be happy about it, I guess. The next part, massive thanks to our sponsors. Without them, it wouldn't be possible to do such community events. All the organization, all the speakers, all the commercial stuff. Thanks a lot to the sponsors for your effort here. And then we can start to introduce ourselves. So, Michael, it's your turn, I guess.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Welcome also from my side. You can see the slide. I'm an MVP basically for Microsoft Teams, and I'm also a CEO and co-founder of a small company doing some business with Microsoft Teams, change management, project management, user adoption. So what we've done in multiple projects is also the idea, or multiple times the idea for my sessions. And because I'm doing a ton of things together with Thorsten, for example, the Microsoft 365 talk, which is a bi-weekly live stream talking about the newest things from the community about Microsoft 365, unfortunately in German. I'm from Germany, next to Munich. If you understand German, feel free to subscribe, feel free to join us. I'm also running the Munich chapter from the Teams user group in Germany, and I'm a co-host and co-organizer for an adoption and change forum next to Munich or in Munich. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, everything is virtual right now. Anyhow, we are happy to be in this in the community, so at least virtually. Now, to you, Thorsten.
Of course. So my name is Thorsten Pickhan. I'm also a community worker. You can find me, as of course, in all the social medias like Twitter or LinkedIn. I also have an own blog where I'm not so often, but sometimes blogging about my findings in my M365 projects, with a focus on Microsoft Teams, of course, with a focus on phone system and enterprise voice. And I also have a video blog with quick tips on a weekly basis. So for all the German end users here, watch out for my Office 365 quick tip series. Each Thursday, a new one with little tips and tricks about Office 365 and how to get more out of the tools. And as Michael already said, I'm a co-hoster for the M365 talk, and I'm hosting the Teams user group in Bochum when we can meet us on site. If not, we are doing it virtual, I think. So we can start?
Yeah.
Go for it. So, we would like to show some good things, some bad things, would like to show you some, how to say, challenges when you're rolling out Microsoft Teams, and perhaps we have some solutions for you also. And we would like to start with the topic governance. So all the issues around governance itself, and the main topic here, teams creation. There are a lot of challenges we have to solve. And I don't know. The first one, of course, the biggest issue, I would say, but yeah, for some companies it's an issue, for some companies not. It's that the team's creation itself is a default service, self-service in default. So each user can create own teams, as many as possible, as many as you would like. So I get there's a limit about 200 or 250, but that is possible. Each user can create in a self-service very easily teams with all the dependencies like naming of the team, email addresses which are created in the background. And yeah, the challenges here are that there are a lot of teams perhaps on the same topic. So when we go into a project and we enable the team service itself, it's most of the time the same scenario, that a lot of people are trying out the new stuff to create Microsoft Teams, and then there are a lot of teams in a very short time window. And what we can see here too is that for the same topics there are different teams, because person A didn't know that person B already created a team for the same topic. What we can see also, Michael, your input.
Thank you. What we also see is a lot of data silos. So the traditional way to work was often to save your work on your personal storage, and you maybe you hide it, maybe your work from other departments, and you just had your specific share. So you tried to save your work, and now you also try to do the same within Teams. You get there, maybe your own created team, and you decided it's nothing I would like to share, maybe with my direct colleague. And so I'd create a team with 1 or 2 or maybe 3 members, but just for the idea to save your documents in a separate data silo. So it's not the idea to share anything, it's not the idea to work together, it's just to save it on a specific place. And so you get so many different silos with maybe the same content or the very next or very close to the existing content that makes it a bit different to follow as previously on your small shares, on your small data locations. And then it becomes pretty confusing. You have multiple teams with almost the same name, with maybe content which is related but saved in multiple data silos. And everything that you see is just, what? Where is it? Where can I find it? I think it was in project A or in department A, but it's in the department A1. Oh my gosh. And there's something in the department AB. That's, whoa, was it this place, this file? It's getting complex. And even the search is not helping, unfortunately. It helps a bit. It helps you to find this, the documents or even the communication. But sometimes if the names are pretty similar, it's getting hard to find the right document. And then you have the same situation. You just click through different documents, you try to find the right one, and it's not getting your document. It's always showing the wrong document. The search will be better in the near future, but right now it is quite difficult. Let's go for the solutions. Will you start?
Go ahead.
Okay. To avoid anything like multiple teams with the same purpose, with the same there are some solutions out there. It starts from
Oh, it looks like
from
your connection is
a complex scenario.
a little bit laggy now.
What? Didn't change anything. Just jump into it, please, and I will continue on another network.
Okay. So I will continue, and hopefully we will get you back immediately. So there's no one-fits-all solution for all the challenges we saw in the previous slide. So there's not a plan which we can use and it will work in each company. So of course it has to be customized and to be checked and proved if it fits to your needs and to your to your business needs. And at the end, this is the second part here, teams should always be based on user requirements. So it's nice that we have a lot of features in Microsoft Teams and that we have a lot of options to digitize our processes and all the stuff, but at the end, all the work you will do to integrate and to create Microsoft Teams should be based on the user requirement. When you have the biggest solution to digitize a process, it doesn't matter when the user is not able to use it or there's something missing in the digital process, and therefore please create the teams based on the user requirements and talk to them and ask them what are your business needs here and why we should use Microsoft Teams. What are your challenges here? Then this is also an experience out of the project itself. It's not possible to create teams only based on the organizational level, and it's not possible to create teams only on projects and tasks. At the end, it's a mixture of both. So it's a good idea to create teams on an organizational level for departments, for example. So each user from a specific department has a hometown in form of a team, where they can communicate, where they can use a group chat, where they can exchange information, where they can store all the department relevant data, documents, where you can use a channel meeting, for example, for your weekly meeting, and for all the projects you have in the company where different departments are involved or perhaps different locations also involved. Use a detached Microsoft Teams dedicated for this project work and for all the tasks related to this specific topic. So you are able to combine both. For your organizational stuff, you can use Teams based on the department itself and on the organizational structure, and you can use Teams side by side for your project and task and to organize, for example, a summer barbecue or something like this. And also, Michael already told us that Microsoft will optimize the search and the result page about this. And the other topic is that we will get shared channels. And with shared channels, we can solve some of the problems, not all, but some of the problems. And perhaps I make the take over for you, Michael, if you would like to continue.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm not.
No, it looks like when you begin to speak, the data is broken or the connection is broken or something is missing. I don't know. So where we can use
just hopping. Sorry, I'm back again.
Okay.
It was jumping between different networks right now, so it should be stable.
Yeah.
Once again, I said there are some solutions to find this not one fits all. There are also some different ways to create the teams, from the automatical way with a third-party product, over a self-configured way on a basic level with the forms and some Power Automate flows. up to some integrations in third-party applications via Graph. So, for example, you can use Jira to just drop an HTTPS request to the Graph API, and Graph will create your team. So these are different ways also to specify your way to create these teams. It's also within a governance rules, but you can use these different ways to use exactly these requirements from your users, from your organization, and also maybe have some different purposes for these kinds of teams, and that can help you also to decide if it's something restricted internally. You can configure it on an administrative way to restrict the access only for internal users, for example, and for something which can be shared, they can use and invite guests for these teams. So there are different ways to address these issues. Let's take another look.
Guest access, sharing, and private channels. Yeah.
It sounds great, right? You just invite someone and you have a guest. He can work in your team directly. Sounds good.
Yeah.
What's the issue?
Yeah. What is the issue? Good question. The issue could be that, of course, a guest in your team could see more than you would like that the guest can see, or that the guest get more access than you would like, or even it's possible that we have to decide when we are going to chat messages, where we have also some slides that now is confusing for your end users to chat with Michael, because they will find Michael Plettner as a federated contact, but also as a guest user in the internal team, because you invited him to participate or to join in the team itself. So it's quite challenging to have guest access, to enable it, and to control who are your guests, how long they will join the team, is a guest really necessary anymore, should we delete the guest account or not, is there still work in progress with this guest, and is the guest account really needed. And then, of course, there's an option to share data. So we can create a share link for a document itself, and there are different levels to create the share link and to give access permissions. The highest level, of course, is to specify specific people in your organization. The next level is to grant access in the company itself, and the third level is that there's an anonymous link, and each person in the world who has this link can access your data. And unfortunately, it's not so easy to give control over it. Yes, of course, you can limit if you would like to have this anonymous links. But even with anonymous links, there are different options to control all the sharing experience, how long, for example, a sharing link is valid, and all this stuff. And this is quite challenging, because at the end, you would like that your data stay in the company and will not spread the word and have access from everywhere. So what are the solutions for these challenges? Or do you have some? No, okay.
Of course we have. Fortunately, there are different ways to handle this, to address this issue. The first of all is think about it. Does it make sense to allow guest access for everyone, for every team in any case, as mentioned before with the data stuff before? There are some scenarios where it doesn't make sense to invite a guest And there can technology help you, even with policies, or maybe with some strict tools, scripts, which runs over the different teams and is checking the actual permissions, up to encryption, Microsoft Azure Information Protection, for example, data loss prevention. All these things can help you to handle these different guests here. And there are also some ideas that you can follow with the Azure P2 license. You get a guest access review process on your tenant, which allows you to specify either all the teams or specific teams to review the guests. So they get a challenge. The owner get a challenge from the system. Is this guest is this guest still needed, or is it maybe obsolete? Maybe the guest already left the other company, and you know it. For example, you can kick this account off. These are different ways where can technology help you. If you use private channels, it definitely makes sense to give some trainings, maybe just short ones. It helps to understand where the issue is coming from. So, for example, no one understands when you create a private channel and you would like to invite someone. You think, oh, it's a private channel, so I invite someone related to the project but currently not member of the team. That's not working. No problem, I invite them to the team and then I can get this to the private channel, but maybe he gets access to more. So this understanding helps the user to make the right decision, how they can work on a proper way. And last but not least, reporting. It helps you as someone who's maybe responsible for the environment, or who's responsible to create this environment. You get a report about the sharing settings of your team, how many guests you have, which account is in use, and you can get a report and see if there are some settings maybe completely wrong for this team, for this SharePoint site or whatever you have for the guest access. And you can decide, should I invest here? Should I do something different? Should I maybe invest some time and reconfigure it, kick out the guest because it maybe is a data leak? So if you have a team, exactly, and you have something to communicate about, you are obviously in the situation where you have some chats and meetings. And why there are other issues? Yeah, you will understand on the next slide.
It's interesting that you translate our German slides with other issues. I choose other disasters, but other issues is also good. Yeah, it's not so dramatic.
Yes, I tried to use not so terrifying description. Because chat is good, right? I use it all the day. I use it on a one-on-one chat. I use it on a group chat. I use it in a Teams chat. I use it in a meeting chat. Oh my gosh, there was a ton of chats, right?
Yes, a ton of chats. And now find the right chat where you put in the information for your colleagues.
And that's the problem. That's really an issue where where it's hard to find the right data, the right information. Was it on a one-on-one chat? Was it in a meeting? Was it in a group chat? Or even was it in a team directly? Or was it maybe something completely different because you may have sent an email?
Or WhatsApp. Who knows? Yeah, so many ways.
Exactly. This is hard to keep track on it. When you when you start a chat or join a chat, you should think about it and try to remember. But obviously, when you have 20 chats per day over a month, you don't remember every constellation. So let's talk about the solutions here.
So as I said before, watch for the right contact on chat with externals. What does it mean? Of course, you have the option to chat directly with someone when you have a federated contact. It's the same like with Skype for Business in the legacy times. And the other option, when you invite someone to your team, there exists a dedicated account in a dedicated guest account in your Azure Active Directory. And of course, when you search for Michael, the people search will also find the guest account from Michael. And now you have the choice if you would like to start the chat with the external contact, federated contact, or to use the guest account. And most of the time, the users, unfortunately, are using the guest account because it's more than simple to find the Michael in the Azure AD when there's a guest account, of course. So it's not so easy to find the right way to do federated chat. And here's also the next tip or solution from us. Use the status in guest tenants. Why we should do this? Because most of the time when you're working, you will probably work in your own tenant from your organization. And that means that your guest account and the guest tenant will be offline and not reachable. And at the end, when some colleagues in the guest tenant, your customer, for example, tries to send you a chat message, of course, this is possible. Perhaps the sender of the chat message is aware of the present status, so it sent out the chat message and is wondering why there's no answer, because you are working in the main tenant, in your company tenant, and the chat message doesn't reach you. And to solve this issue, you can use the status message in the Teams client itself, where you can put in a short notice that this is only the guest tenant account, and if the customer or the people would like to chat you directly, they should use your Microsoft Teams address from your company. And hopefully, and this notice is coming up at the pop-up when someone tries you to reach in the guest tenant, and hopefully it will help that the communication will become direct between the external partner and your main office tenant as a federated contact, of course. And last but not least, we have also an option to find chat messages easier, Michael.
Yes, especially when you are in a direct chat. And it doesn't matter if it's a one-on. No, it does matter. In a one-on-one chat, it's not possible, but in a group chat, you can rename the chat. So, for example, you create a chat with with Thorsten and another colleague. Let's pick up here Ben, because he's right up on the participant list, and you try to have a group chat. That's fine, it's working, and since a couple of weeks it's working with external parties as well, so it's not bound to your tenant. But it's named as a chat with Thorsten, Ben, and myself. So this is not helping. And even worse, if you start to create a new group chat because you maybe have another topic, it picks up the old communication. In some cases, it's good. In some cases, it's not what you're looking for, because you don't want to pick up the old topic. You want to create a new one, or you use a new one. And there, a rename of this chat group can help you. When you create a chat, you are able to set a name directly, or if the chat group is already existing, you can rename the group. And so you can rename this for the specific topic, and in a couple of days you can, or hours, you can create a new group chat with the same participants, rename it as with another description, and you have a completely empty group conversation. So it helps you to structure your communication as well. And one last word for the meeting chat. If you ever had a meeting where and someone else was invited who's actually not part of this meeting, they are still in the meeting chat afterwards. So review the meeting chat if you just invited someone to answer a question, to avoid any issues by sending some chat messages which shouldn't be visible for this person.
Yeah. So
sorry.
No.
And within meetings brings us to the next topic. We also have meetings, but not only a single one. You have many, multiple. Would you like to continue?
Of course I can. So there are so many different types of meetings. You can initiate a meeting itself. You can use a live meeting or live event. You can use channel meetings. You can use ad hoc meetings. And last but not least, since a few months, we are also able to create and start webinars. So there are so many different types of meetings, and the user should be able to use the right one or to find the right one. And then it's quite easy, quite difficult, because some meeting types have also different features and functionalities inside of a meeting. So when we are talking about a live event, for example, we cannot use breakout rooms as a feature. So live event is a totally different meeting type than a normal meeting or channel meeting. Then we have different limitations regarding the amount of users. In a normal meeting, I don't know, currently up to 1,000, or in special circumstances up to 10,000, but this is a ticket at Microsoft, I guess. A live event you can use for 10,000 or 20,000 users. So there are different limitations. When you are doing a meeting recording, also there are different limitations, how long the recording will be available for the end user itself. And all this together, it's quite complex to set up a meeting and to find the right meeting type for your business needs. But hopefully we also have some solutions for it.
Lucky us, yes, we found some solutions.
Good one.
The easiest one and the obvious ones are think about your policies and create some policies. So does it make sense to allow live events for everyone in the company? Is it allowed to not only create but also participate to a live event? Are there other requirements you should consider, like default settings in your meeting with company only configuration or anonymous join? And unfortunately or fortunately, depends on your point of view, there's the only way to bring it to the users via user adoption and training. So it's not possible to set up one way and it fits for all. That's the same with the Teams creation process. It doesn't fit for all companies. It doesn't fit for all scenarios. And you never fit the right policy for everyone with a single policy, for example. Or you may have some excuses or some special requirements in specific circumstances. So the best way is to use training. Bring your user adoption into your company. Use user adoption to raise awareness of the different ways, the differences of the meetings. What are the differences from the technical perspective is actually not so important. think about the users. How does it feel for the users? What are the differences from the user perspective? If someone creates a webinar, for example, they should know everyone who's joined as a participant is automatically muted and they are not able to activate the camera. They are not joining as an active participant for this meeting. These are just some examples. So user adoption and training is very important here.
Yeah.
And the same topic, user adoption and training, should also be important for the apps. Let's talk about them.
Apps? Are there really apps and teams under apps?
Yes, it's a hub. It's a hub for modern workplace.
Yeah. So with apps, of course, I think you all know this. With apps, you can extend the teams with new features and new functions. There are a lot of apps. That's why we have the Office App Store. And of course, each user is able to install his own app into Microsoft Teams. So there are different apps, for my own, combined with a channel. Some apps can be integrated as a tab. Some apps are on the left side in the navigation bar. So there are so many options, as always, as we have seen in meetings and chats, to use apps. It's quite difficult to have an overview. I don't know, currently in the official Teams Admin Center App Store, App Catalog, there are almost 800, 900 or even 1,000 apps listed. And of course, each app has its own functionality, its own feature set. And yeah, what is the problem here? One way the users can buy apps in a self-service, so it's quite difficult for the company to have an overview how many, what is the amount of money I spent for third-party apps. Perhaps there are different apps for the same topic, like we discussed earlier about Teams. So of course you can use different, or you will find different apps for the same feature and functionality set. Then we have the Power Apps itself from Microsoft. So it's not third party. It's from Microsoft delivered Power Apps for end users to develop low-code applications and to digitize your processes. But also the same challenge here. What happens when Michael develops a very useful Power App and this becomes over the next month, the one and only app to coordinate all the stuff in the company. And then Michael left the company for any reason. And then we have a Power App and have no documentation as always. We don't know how the app is working. And then one given day, the app is broken and what next? And yeah, regarding the connection of third-party systems, we can connect so many different systems. And as always, the question is, where are my data located? Where are my data stored? So if I have a combination, a connector to a third-party system, is it allowed by my company, by my policy that data is stored externally on any different, I don't know, server outside in the US or in China and Asia and Germany? I don't know. So yeah, I'm responsible, but at the end for this data, and therefore it's quite challenging to find the right apps. But also we have a solution for it, right?
Yeah, I think you got the idea behind that. First of all, you can start with a full stop here. You can restrict the access to the App Store and limit all the apps just to a specific ones or multiple apps you would like to see here. That's one way, but it's pretty restrictive. So what you can do is you can specify policies with your available apps, which are maybe already available via another app store, which are maybe available via other systems, or you know there are some licenses and agreements of all the different of your app, and you know this is a company app. You already use a third-party app in this company. The next one is to evaluate and check apps, especially with regards to the the GDPR.
Yeah.
Sorry for that. I missed this with a translation with GDPR. There you get a help within the next couple of weeks, I think. There will be a check for the apps with a ranking of compliance, of GDPR compliance, some information how they handle your data. This is a way you can use for your apps, where you can check, is it a good app for my company, or is it a bad app? Where are the data located? Is it something which is integrated directly, or is it something which looks like integrated and leads the user to save the data somewhere outside of any company boundaries? The next one is you can and you should control and check the app subscriptions. Sometimes you get a free trial license for some days or weeks or even months, and then you lost your data because the subscription ended. So check these different subscriptions, not only for external subscriptions. When you see there's a connector to a specific service, check the subscription, contact the users, but also for Microsoft subscriptions. Sometimes you have some apps and licenses you get from Microsoft for free as a trial license. And sometimes these trials getting important for your business. So check them on a regular basis and limit this. As mentioned before, the app governance for Microsoft is coming soon. It was announced a couple of weeks ago, so I think it should be in the tenant within the next weeks. And then, last but not least, when we talk about apps and the data somewhere, let's talk about data directly. So let's go.
Go for it. So where are my team's data located? And here we have some different views or some different data, of course. Perhaps you are thinking about your files and your files you're storing in Teams itself, but here we have the focus on personal data. So what about presence and contact data? What about recordings of meetings? And at the end is a Teams admin center, which are very helpful if I have to troubleshoot something in my company. But when you take a deeper look into the logs about a meeting, for example, you will see that there are also a lot of insights about external people who joining the meeting, and you can find out a lot of information about the computer name, the IP address the user has used, and all the stuff. And perhaps it's not the best one, but yeah, this is a topic, privacy. So what about your presence and contact data? Normally you can't limit this to so the presence itself. When you have an open federation, the presence itself is visible for all the other Teams users out there, and also the contact data is limited, visible to others. So across company boundaries, it's quite difficult to limit this data and to share this. But hopefully we also have some little solutions for it, Michael.
Of course we do. So when you think about this, there are basically no technical solutions, not right away. So talk about with your work council. If you have someone, talk about this known issue, be aware of it, and also limited the access to who's able to get access to this of this data. For example, you can see this data in your reports for your call. So it should be limited for just the required or specific admins here, which have access to all the information. There are some limitations like presence. You are currently not available. You're not possible to block the presence outside of your company. If you are on a busy level, you are visible on busy outside as well. If you are available, the same. Train your users. User adoption. Make them aware of it. If they are available at 10 p.m. on a global company, of course, someone in Asia has maybe triggered them and say, hey, good morning, I do have an issue. Let's talk about this. Make them aware of this issue. For recordings, these can be controlled via policies. There's a change right now, switching from the traditional stream portal to OneDrive storage. So you can use some OneDrive and SharePoint regulations and policies. Also with the data access, you think about the sharing permissions we have mentioned earlier. What can the users use for sharing? And therefore you can set up some policies to restrict the access and restrict the data sharing in this case. But user adoption is the most important thing here. So when you think all about the different topics we had, the most of them you can limit or specify, raise awareness by a bit of technique and a bit of user adoption. It's important.
Yeah.
And that's actually everything we have, except the reminder to give us your feedback, not only for us, but also for the conference. So check out the link, check out this QR code, and give us your feedback to improve ourselves and this event, especially this event. No, not especially, only the event. We should improve as well every time. Thank you very much for joining. And one last reminder for two more things before we start with the Q&A. The next one is the reminder for the fundraising today. If you have some dollars, we are really happy if you spend them and donate some dollars here. And if you would like to part of the raffle, just a reminder, we do have a raffle and some giveaways here. And so, thank you very much from my side.